The very idea of the United States was a creative idea. It was an independent, radical idea.
And we're at a really important juncture, just in terms of culture and communication in the United States. So I thought this would be a good place to hear the rhythm of what people are thinking.
Of course, the Kennedy Center and the NEA both believe that the arts and creativity are essential. And I wonder, is there anybody in this room who doesn't think that? That's why we're all here.
How do you approach and how do you employ creativity in your professional lives, regardless of whether your industry is art or government or transportation, economics, technology, community development?
For me, DJing is still a creative thing. Like, I don't DJ just to pay my mortgage. I DJ because I'm curious about, again, the psychological effects of how people react to music.
While the 2016 report still values such support provision, it reveals in no uncertain terms today's creative ecosystem that has been empowered by entrepreneurial practices, that's been unbound by transdisciplinary creations, and also been expanded by increasing connectivity with multiple non-art sectors.
I think that some of the barriers of creativity have to do with agency, that there's a way in which we have trained ourselves to divide ourselves amongst the creatives and the non-creatives. And I think people carry wounds of being separated out.
I think non-artists think that artistic talent and creativity is an exclusive club. And if you weren't born with it, it's not a place that you can play. And I think that's absolutely untrue.
And then even within the arts and culture and creativity field, we have disciplines. And that root of the word discipline is about separating and confining. So I think that there's a way in which the structure of how we think about arts and creativity itself is limiting. And so I think that the conversation that we're having about liberation and what that looks like in arts and creativity is essential. And I think that's right where we need to be.
You know, we recognize that we make technology that lots of people use, but we also make culture in many ways, and we have a responsibility. We have a cultural responsibility to you, and I think we have a lot of homework to do.
Why can I go into debt for $120,000 to get an art degree tomorrow, but not get a loan for my local community land trust, creative business, or art project? Why can 10 emerging artists generate $1.2 million for the Academy, but not for their local community? This is something that has to change.
We've got to change how we think. We've got to change how we communicate to our children about what's possible and how the arts can be part of their lives, and that they don't have to choose to be something else. You could be an artist and something else. If you go to art school, you could be an artist and something else. We don't have to create these sort of, what we might call gilded ghettos of creativity. It should be part of all parts of our economy, society, and community.
It remains true that folks in rural America are not served equally. It's a truth, and it's also a truth that permeates communities of color. And the point of creating opportunity is not just about opening a door. It's like opening the door and like letting there be some money inside whenever we arrive. That's just real.
What new institutions need to be born right now to help that kind of exchange of ways of seeing happen, right?
I would start by saying, let's not assume it needs to be a new institution.
As a Muslim person, as a person of color, I feel more than ever it's important for us to also think about privilege in the arts as well. Who is speaking, who is talking, who is at the table, who is the one that's getting money, who is the one that's leading the conversations.
Something that's been on my mind ever since I sort of thought about the theme of this conference is a comment made by the artist Marty Pottinger. At the beginning of this century, she was doing a piece called Abundance, in which she went around the country and interviewed millionaires and minimum wage earners and explored the question, what is enough? And she asked everyone that she talked with in these sort of roundtable discussions, if you knew from this day forward that everyone, everywhere, would always have enough, how would it change your life?
I am very interested in what we will each give up in the name of equity and justice, right? Period, the end. Because if we're serious about it, yes, something's got to give. And equity doesn't mean that everybody in this room has to give up the same amount. Equity actually means there's some of us that have to give up more. And be okay with that, right? In the name of justice.
What does your life as a resident of Jonesborough teach you about what the country needs right now in our capacity to hear other people's stories?
Interesting. I believe this idea that there's no one fixed identity. We have identities that are flexing, continually flexing. We don't belong to one group, we belong to multiple. You have to move beyond your comfort zone. You have to find people, and you have to see the story behind the story. And if you're not willing to go there, then we can't make peace possible. And I think storytelling is not in itself, we can tell our stories, it's not going to make peace, it's how we use it. And it's how we apply it. And it's the stories that we choose to use, the choose that we tell, the choose that we listen to. The art of storytelling is not about how to tell a compelling story, it's the art of listening. We have to listen to ourselves, we have to listen to our communities.
Every human being has the potential to be creative. And I think we need to say that over and over again, convince people that everybody can bring something to this creative roundtable that we have here that is called life.
Forget about race or gender or sex or class or religion or any of those things. I'm talking about like the fundamentals of the human condition, which is that we have hearts that beat. It's percussion, brainwaves, that's a form of music and art. Like we are in of ourselves creations that are works of art. And so we need art to continue to survive, which means that we have to continue to invest in it.
And I think without a federal agency like the NEA that is deeply invested in supporting all kinds of creativity and all kinds of community, we would never come together to know this group of people in this way. And it's one of the real values that the NEA has brought for 50 years through its convening power, and it's one that I think will propel us forward.
I don't want to live in a society that's barren of creativity, that's barren of art, that's barren of something that stretches my mind and helps me to learn more about my spirit and myself and my capacity and also yours.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Okay, let's have a